Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Svelte Radio. Today, we bring you yet another guest. I'm joined, but before that, I'm going to say hello to my beautiful co-host, Antony. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Brittany isn't here today, so we only have one extra person, other than me, of course. But we have a very exciting guest today. Stanislav, hello. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks. Nice being here.
So, Stanislav, you have been breaking the internet with your Svelte Bench project. No, I'm kidding. So you're an Svelte ambassador. You have been quite heavily involved in the Svelte Bench stuff. So benchmarking Svelte and LLMs. But before we get into that, let's hear from you. Who are you, and how did you get into Svelte?
Yeah, we were talking about this just before the show, and we were trying to determine when did I actually start using Svelte and get to know Svelte. And I think it was somewhere around 2022. And I work in a editorial product, so we do newspaper stuff, we do visualizations, we do articles. And I think we had heard about this amazing new framework by Rich Harris when he worked at New York Times, I believe. And we were actually already experimenting with it. And I just remember it was pre-SvelteKit 1.0. We were using the 0 point something version at work. And we were also using a lot of vanilla Svelte in our visualizations. And
so the kind of visualizations that you're talking about are stuff like election graphing and stuff, that kind of visualization that you would do on a newspaper website, right? Or
yeah, the kind of things that Rich originally made Svelte for. So kind of really, really performant and really, really easy to write visualization when you have to do things quickly. And that was a long time ago. Now Svelte and SvelteKit is much, much bigger than that. You can do basically anything.
So you said you got into Svelte around the SvelteKit beta. Was this before they switched from the old routing system to the new one? I barely remember the old system actually, but
no, I still remember it. Wasn't it __ page or something? It was. We didn't have the plus page yet.
I think it actually was just the route name .svelte and index .svelte.
Or .html even before that. But
well, that's Svelte 2, right?
Oh, that was pre-Svelte 2, yeah. I mean, it was Sapper really, I suppose. But yeah, no. Because we still use Sapper, so I know all about Sapper, which is not much fun.
It's crazy to hear that you're still using Sapper.
Well, we're migrating away.
Wow.
Puru is migrating us away, I would say, almost single-handedly, which is brilliant. But no, it was the underscore was for certain files, was it layouts or something? I can't remember, or was it cancelling a layout? It's been a while since I've done that stuff, but yeah, it had a weird syntax.
Yeah, but it was still great. But the new system is better, for sure. I quite like it.
I just remember that Sapper was already on the way out, that the SvelteKit 0 point something was in the making.
Yeah, it was SvelteKit 0 point something was the middle of Sapper extracted, copy pasted into a new project, and then new stuff wrapped around it with Snowpack.
Wow, it's so cool to hear the OG peeps remembering all that stuff. I came in unbothered, completely fresh to the scene with SvelteKit 1.0.
Yeah, but look at what you've got with it. I mean, it's amazing to see, upskill and stuff is crazy. I would say that you're right about being OG. I think that when we do this podcast, we meet a lot of people who've been in it for various amounts of time. But the thing that amazes me is everyone goes, "Oh, do you remember old school days of Svelte?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're when you just had double braces. I'm like, "No, it was before that. It was way worse." There was Svelte 1 was very raw, and it was great. That's why I'm still here now. But it was very much there wasn't much to it.
Yeah, I remember Penguin saying, or was it you, Antony? There were 40 people in the Discord at some point. Might have been.
I think I joined the Discord. I joined the Discord when it had just been moved from whatever they were using before Discord. So I don't remember what it was before. I didn't see what it was before, but
there was something before.
Yeah, there was they
Probably
tried some different things.
open source thing that some
Gitter or something like that.
Yes, Gitter is the one.
They tried a couple.
How many people do we have on the Discord today? Does anyone know?
I think it's like 80,000.
Wow. Yeah, some crazy amount. I mean, it's the amount of active people as well, which is amazing at any one time.
It's super fun to see how big it's been growing over the years. All right, so you got into Svelte, and you've been using Svelte for a while then, because it feels like you not only used it at work, but you also got kind of interested in using it for side projects as well, right? You built some capacitor apps. We mentioned it before the show started. But then now you've most recently, I guess, worked on the Svelte Bench and the MCP. So let's talk a bit about the Svelte Bench. What is it?
Well, Svelte Bench is a way to sort of grade an LLM on how well it knows about Svelte 5 specifically. Because when we had the Svelte 4, then when did ChatGPT come out? It was like in 2022 or 23. It was all somewhere around there.
When did the world change?
Yeah, it's like it feels like it's been around forever, but it really hasn't, right? But somehow, like, because I guess Svelte was kind of HTML-like, I feel like Svelte 4 was pretty okay for LLMs to write. But then when Svelte 5 came and I kind of started testing it out, it was so rough to like do AI-assisted coding with it because I was just like hitting my head against a brick wall for like 2 weeks, and then I was just randomly on the Svelte.dev site and I loaded it up in Network Inspector, and I found this file called content.json, which is like what powers the like search in the top menu. And I realized that like all of the SvelteKit docs are in that file. So I tried just like drag and dropping that file into my AI, and it got a lot better at doing Svelte 5. And that's kind of when the first like realization I had that like, okay, we need to maybe teach the LLMs stuff in order for it to work really, really well with Svelte 5 at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. So I guess Svelte hasn't really changed a lot since Svelte 3 came out in 2019, right? So, well, it has now with Svelte 5, but like from Svelte 3 to Svelte 5, that was probably like 5 years of no changes, other than like small changes to how transitions worked, if I remember correctly, and some stuff like that. So I guess the LLMs also had a long time to train on actually Svelte 4 or Svelte 3 code. So it probably has a lot of the old stuff in its, I don't know if you would call it memory layers. I don't know what
learnings. Yeah.
Learnings. Yeah. So it's understandable that the LLMs have a hard time writing Svelte 5 because there isn't a lot of Svelte 5 out there yet compared to Svelte 3 and Svelte 4. But what do you think has surprised you? Oh, actually, before that, how did you build Svelte Bench? Did you use a lot of LLM to like scaffold the user interface and?
Yeah. That's meta. That's very meta.
Yeah, it is always meta to write AI tools using AI. But yeah, I did. Like actually, when I sat down to do Svelte Bench the first time, I needed some way to basically ask the LLM to write a Svelte component and then test it. And then I was like, okay, maybe we can use something like vtest for this. And I kind of like wrote my prompt and I pressed enter, and it was a total disaster because the LLM I was using Claude, I think at that point, just couldn't figure out how to like connect, how to dynamically, get the code from an LLM and kind of like put it into vtest. That was just not something that the LLM, I think, had ever maybe seen before or didn't have enough examples. So that was like a great point about like the limitations of LLMs, that like they can do things that they already know, that they've seen before, but when you try to get them to paste together new stuff, and like make something that hasn't really been done, it's much tougher. So I actually ended up like taking a weekend and like spending some real engineering time in quotes to actually like connect the like hooking up VTest with like an AI like SDK that could like dynamically generate a component, and then VTest could test it. And then once I had that working, then the AI was just saving me so much time, because the base was already done, and now I needed to like scale up. I needed to write like new tests for different runes and different Svelte 5 functions, and that it did like perfectly, and it made like a beautiful dashboard to show off the data. So that was amazing. So I still saved a lot of time, but also over time I've learned like when you should stop trying to get the LLM to do something and just do it yourself, because it's just not gonna be able to figure some stuff out.
Yeah, I've recently, like when it comes to working with LLMs as a tool for like when you're building stuff, I've learned that writing PRD, as it's called, I think that's a product PRD. What does it mean? I know you see, like I know the abbreviation, but I don't know the actual.
So what you're saying is you have a shallow knowledge of these things.
Oh,
almost
100%.
AI was running your life, and you just doing what it says.
Product requirements document. It's basically like what you get from a product manager, or product whatever, and it just outlines the functionality that you want, and then how it should be implemented in. So it splits up the work into different phases, and then you start with one phase, and then like obviously before you start working on the actual code, you iterate a couple of times on the PRD document, like maybe split up some functionality even more. I feel like that helps a lot. Like you don't want to give the AI a prompt like build me a tool for communicating with people, and it's just like have it generate the whole application. Like you kind of need to be very specific with how to work with it, I guess. And PRDs are a great way to do that, I've found. How do you usually work with AIs or LLMs? Do you split it up? Do you write out a list of requirements, or do you just like YOLO it, as one would say?
I think everyone has like probably a different way that works for them. I have like two modes, like either like an exploratory mode where you're not really coding, you're just like asking like to come up with ideas and features, and then more of a low level mode. So I actually don't do exactly what you do, Kev. I don't really write those like descriptions, but it's more like when I've decided that, okay, I want this feature, I've brainstormed it, now I'm gonna like write a kind of like a pretty low level step-by-step thing. So like maybe not like on file level, but like refactor this function, add this one, do it in this way that already like exists in a similar structure in this other part of the app. So kind of giving it a bit of guidance. And I see it more like you have like the dough that is your source code, and then you're trying to basically like mold it into, maybe dough was a bad idea, but maybe like clay, and you're trying to like mold it in the shape that you want slowly with these different prompts, rather than as it was before, you're just like on a much lower level, updating one function at a time, and then at the end you check like, okay, is it what I want? Yes or no? But now it's more like you're just shaping it over time to be what you want in the end.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, if you're interested, I wanted to talk a little bit about like how the actual Svelte Bench works, because like
I was gonna go get there. I was just interested in hearing how you worked with LLMs before, because we got into that. So tell us about how it works.
Because like before I started this, I had only the vaguest idea of what a LLM benchmark even is, but it's actually quite interesting to. I've become much more skeptical of benchmarks. Like when I see a really like good benchmark score now I'm thinking more like, okay, but what is it actually like testing? Like all these, some of these different benchmarks. For example, there are benchmarks where the LLM will write some piece of code like a to-do app, and then another LLM will grade that code. And I'm like, is that a good benchmark? Like, I don't know. I guess it depends on how generous the grading LLM is, right? So I just mean that a lot of these benchmarks are kind of like weird, like they're structured in a weird way. So I knew I wanted something that was like fairly reproducible, like something that where you could run the same code multiple times and it would always come up with the same score. So that's why I hooked in VTest. But if you're doing like, so what the benchmark, what it is, it's like a bunch of prompts, like, okay, use the like state rune to make a to-do list. And then I ask it to like pre-fill create some like data tags on certain elements so that we later can test those with v-test. So the code comes in, we know that we check like, okay, there should be a button. When you click that button in v-test, there should be a new entry added to the to-do list. So we're doing kind of like proper unit testing. But the downside with that is you can't go like completely crazy with it. You can't tell it to like make a full to-do app however it wants and then like objectively test it. You need to kind of be a little bit fenced in and tell it like, okay, add these test tags on these different elements so that we can actually test it properly. But surprisingly, that has worked fairly well, because now we're at a point where many LLMs score basically have a perfect score on the benchmark. So I wasn't sure if it was actually going to work, but over time, the benchmark scores for I think the top scoring one has 93.3%. So that's that's Sonnet 4.5 actually. So that one basically almost has a perfect score. It still messes up some things, and that's also something like. LLMs are inherently like not deterministic. If you run the same prompt through, you're going to get different results every time. So I was reading up on how different benchmarks work, and I found this one paper by OpenAI where they proposed this metric called pass at k. It sounds very complicated. All it really means is you run the test several times, and then you basically like check like how many times did it actually succeed. So if you have pass at 1, it means that you run it once, it works. Then you pass at 1. If you do pass at 10, it's like you ran it 10 times, it worked at least one time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm just gonna see here so that I'm not lying to you here. Yeah, exactly. So pass at 1 is the like hardest kind of score to clear, and then pass at 10. We also have pass at 10 in the benchmark, and we do actually see that like some LLMs, they only succeed maybe 90% of the time or 70% of the time, and that's also like quite interesting data. I think
it's very interesting. I'm looking at the numbers here, and so just looking at Claude 4.5, you have like it passes. Like one version of Claude 4.5 passes almost everything except the inspect rune, but then you have, I think, is Claude. No, that's Sonnet 4. Maybe I was thinking about. Oh, I see. Okay. So 4.5 is the latest one, I guess.
Yeah, you can click. There is a button at the top that says V1 results, because we changed the test a little bit to fix a bug, and then in the V1 results you have a little bit more, some more models. But there, the inspect test is actually broken, so like it's no models could pass it. That's why the max score is 89% and not more than 90%. Because there's 10 tests in total. Okay, so how many models have you tested now? I know that every time there's a new open source model, I just come running and I say, Stanislav, you need to benchmark this. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how fun it was gonna be, but in the end we had. I was just like testing like new major models that came out, because it's pretty easy once you have the benchmark, you just change the model parameter name. And then you rerun it again, and it gives you like a result that you can commit into the repo. But then I also had this guy Max come in recently, and Max has been really good about testing models from OpenRouter. OpenRouter has a lot of like
that's nice
open source model, and like a lot of these Chinese models that don't have a big, they haven't really gotten a big foothold in the Western market. Like Z.ai is one of those companies, and Quen is another one.
Yeah, and those models are really good as well, and you can run them locally. So, if you have a very good computer.
What's been really cool is like one thing that's been cool is to see like how like the model, the kind of closed source model have improved over time, especially Sonnet and Opus models, the Anthropic ones. Gemini has also like improved a lot, and then really recently we actually got some of these open weights models actually scoring really, really well. So like the second model now is Kimi K2, which is actually an open weights model. Now you can't run it locally because it is 1 terabyte in size. It needs 1 terabyte of graphics memory to run, but you could technically download it and like run it locally. So I mean, it's really cool that
you could rent a couple of servers and then you could run it, right?
Yeah.
And that means that you can ask it anything and you wouldn't have to worry about like leaking data to all these providers and have them train on your code, right? And it's pretty big for a lot of companies, I'd say. And it's pretty interesting that we have an open weights one as the number 2, and you're not seeing like, I don't see OpenAI. Well, okay, GPT-5 is number 9.
GPT, somehow, I don't know what it is with OpenAI. I think it's actually really, really sad. I actually think it probably has done a lot of damage to the Svelte ecosystem, that OpenAI models, for some reason, have been so terrible at Svelte 5. Like, some of them, they have been, up until GPT-5, which was like fairly recent, they've all scored like basically at the bottom. They can be, like, even if you tell them like, write, a state rune or like write a derived rune, they can't. They just like, it's like they somehow, I mean, I know that it's a joke that LLMs write only React, but I think in OpenAI's case, I think they kind of overtuned it for React because it just, and sometimes it's like insane. Sometimes you tell it to write Svelte and it will write you a React component and you're like, hello, guys, like I said Svelte, and it's like, oh, sorry. And then it will write like another React component and you're just like, Do you think that maybe like OpenAI is doing populist things like GPT has got to be the most generic, most accessible LLM ever, and so they're just like, yeah, everyone should use React anyway because it's everyone know it.
I mean, in a sense, it would kind of make sense to train it for the most common use case, right? Because you need less training parameters and the model is probably smaller, so they can probably run it more cheaply. So if most people use React anyway, why waste time training it on Svelte? Like, I don't know. I don't like that, but it kind of makes sense if they want to run it as cheaply as possible.
And that's why I mean that they've done like a type of damage to the Svelte community because it is the default. Like all their models are the default models in like 99% of tools.
Yeah.
Like if you use Copilot, you get GPT 4.1, which by the way is a terrible model. It's like a tiny, cheap, awful model that can, like, I think it passed. It is basically like at the bottom of the Svelte Bench list. Like it's all the way to the bottom, which is like quite impressive. Like worse than even some like 8 billion parameter models that you can run on a toaster, like on your phone, like, which is, it's quite impressive that it like manages to be so bad somehow. And I mean, they have gotten better. Like I said, GPT-5 scores pretty well on the benchmark, so it's not all bad, and but it's taken them so long basically to like get this working, which is a bit sad.
Yeah, it's tough. So you mentioned this guy Max that has come in and done OpenRouter benchmarks. How do you look at so OpenRouter is interesting because you can find models that are not quantized and you can find models that are quantized. So do you pick the least quantized model or the most quantized, or because that's also something that you should probably present on the benchmark as well, right? And sometimes like the provider that you get through OpenRouter doesn't even tell you what quantization. I've seen some benchmarks of, is it the Kimi 2 or is it the ZAI one that's like if you run it through the official API, it's much better than if you run it through OpenRouter.
Yeah, this has been like a problem that we have. I mean, we're all very new at this. We're trying to learn and understand. OpenRouter is like a marketplace. So if you have an open model, you have a bunch of providers and they will all host it. And they will like, when you call the OpenRouter API, it will basically give you like a round robin, like whoever is cheapest right now or whoever has the least load right now. And what we noticed was that, like exactly like you mentioned, the OpenRouter version of Kimi was much worse than the official. I don't remember if it was Kimi or if it was another model, but it was one of the big open source models. And that's when we learned with Max about this like quantization, that some providers quantize, some providers don't even like specify the quantization. Quantization basically means trimming off some of the precision of the model to make it fit into a smaller amount of memory, which makes it cheaper to run, but also worsens the performance. So what we do now is that we try to choose either the official provider, which we know like that's going to be the best because that's their like official one, and if there isn't one available in open router, we try to choose the one that clearly states what is the precision level of the model. If it's usually it's like 8-bit, sometimes 16-bit.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And it's like you can't really do anything about the cases where they don't tell you that it's quantized, but it is, right? Like that's just so that's fraud basically. So.
Yeah, it's I mean, exactly. And we try to choose like a single provider now when we run these tests, so we will not get like a mixture of different providers. Yeah, and it's actually sad also then because like I think open models have gotten like a worse score like historically just because they don't just have like one provider, they have many providers, and it's harder to like verify the quality of the model.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, anything else about how this works?
No, I think we covered it, and it's pretty easy. Like maybe we'll talk more about it in the future, but what we're thinking about now, like how to like improve Svelte Bench. We're thinking about a version 2 with MCP support, but we can maybe talk about that
interesting.
Later.
Yeah. I mean, we are going to talk about the MCP, right? So I was going to ask, like, what's next for Svelte Bench? But so that's what's next for Svelte Bench. So speaking of the MCP, should we talk about the MCP? Does that make sense? Yeah. So Paolo,
has any of you tried it?
I use it. I use it all the time, like with Claude. It's great. So I usually use Claude Code when I do features. Most recently for like the Svelte Society website, I've started implementing a social media scheduling poster on in like the admin dashboard. So the MCP has been great because even if it's Sonnet 4.5, it still writes weird Svelte code sometimes, even if it's like it writes the one thing that I've noticed is that it always writes the event handlers like on : click rather than just on click. That's super common. But with the MCP, it just like auto fixes itself until it's actually correct. So that's very, very nice. But what does the MCP do? I mentioned auto fixing, but maybe we should just tell people why should we use it?
Yeah, I mentioned a little bit in the beginning that I was using the like documentation to get better results basically. So I started using this like content JSON blob that was already available that had all the docs, and then later on we got this like LLMs.txt format which was proposed, which is like you basically merge your documentation into kind of like a markdown file and serve it at a known location like /LLMs.txt. And we actually implemented that on the official site. So you can both download the whole documentation, or you can on every single documentation page, you'll find a link to the LLMs.txt file for that documentation section. And that really, really helps. But, LLMs have limited context window. So if you shove the documentation in every time, it does like take up a lot of space, and that costs money. You pay for every token. And it also like if you're using the like monthly plans, you will run out of quota faster. So the next step was like, okay, the documentation is quite big. How do we optimize it to be smaller and to be more like contextual to what you're actually doing? And around that time, we started getting this MCP standard, which is basically like, it's like an API the LLM can call, sort of. Like it's the LLM knows that I have this function. It's kind of like remote functions, but for LLMs, like they know that like, I can call the like list documentation sections tool, and then I will get all the Svelte documentation sections. So what I did first was like I started experimenting with this because I didn't even know if it was going to become something. I didn't even know if it was like made sense. So I made like an open source MCP for Svelte, which had the documentation in it. So you could list all the documentation sections, and you could fetch one or more documentation sections. And then, like, let's say you could either ask your LLM to be like, oh, get the documentation for these things, or you could have the LLM like think about like what would I probably need for this task, and fetch those sections. And that worked pretty well. And then we started talking in the like ambassadors chat about, can we like promote this to an official thing? And me and Paolo mainly, we started working on an official implementation. And Paolo, together with some of the other ambassadors and core committers, were also thinking about auto-fixing, meaning if you submit your code that the LLM wrote to the MCP, you could get suggestions through static code analysis of things that the LLM did wrong. Like in your example, Kev, with the like on::click. Yeah. So while on::click isn't like it's kind of maybe hard to, unless you downloaded the event handlers documentation every time, you maybe wouldn't know that changed, the LLM wouldn't know. But when you submit that code to the autofixer will return back, oh, hey, like you need to change on::click to on::click. And that is very actionable for the LLM. And that is a huge thing. And Paolo has done the like main work on that. And he also, I think he uses the like kind of the same kind of parsing that the normal Svelte build tool does. So it's all the same kind of errors that you would see in the like problems tab in your VS Code tool.
Oh wow, okay. It's using Acorn. Well, it's Acorn still, isn't it? Using Acorn to build the AST.
He's doing something. I don't know if it's Acorn specifically, but I know he had to extend some of the like compiler tools so that they would be able to surface those messages in like a programmatic way. So you could just send in like a string of code and get back the both errors and warnings and even suggestions. So like you could even suggest things like, oh, this effect you really should have used like derived in this case, because I can see that you're just like reassigning a variable.
Right.
And this is huge. Like I'm saying it again, this is huge because you're getting like a code base that is according to best practices.
Yeah. Actually, I have a question about this, because the MCP is obviously an up and coming thing. Right now, you've got these context things, but you've got Svelte Distilled, which is a reduced version of the docs, it looks like, and then you've got LLM Small, which is a reduced version of the doc. How does that work?
So I think the distilled docs are currently only available on like my unofficial version.
Okay.
We're still talking about, because even when you're fetching individual sections, it can still be quite a lot of documentation. So one of the things that I have been experimenting with is like, let's take each documentation section and then send them to an AI and say like, let's just shorten this down to the most important parts. Like leave the code examples, leave the like most important like takeaways from this section, but like strip away everything else.
Yeah. Okay.
And by doing that, I have been doing that on my MCP for a while, and by doing that, I saw that like you could reduce the average documentation page by about 50 or 60%.
That's a lot. Because that's one thing that I've seen, like when you're using the MCP, you get some warnings sometimes from Claude Code that like, this is a huge MCP call, it takes 10,000 tokens, something like that. So I assume it's this to reduce the amount of characters.
Yeah, that's going to lead to less cost and just like overall faster experience. But one of the things that I think rightfully we have gotten feedback on from some of the core committers is okay, but how do we actually know that the distilled documentation distills the correct parts and doesn't actually like leave things out or remove things that we actually need? And that's where I think we're now talking about doing the Svelte Bench version 2 with MCP support. Because if we can test a version with the distilled docs and a version with the non-distilled docs, and we can say that, okay, these are like almost the same, like they are within like single-digit percentage points of each other in terms of performance, then I think we can pretty reliably and scientifically say that like, the distilled docs actually like don't improve don't destroy the user experience. Like they actually have a value, both because you still get the correct responses in the end.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like this. It's almost like quantizing, in a sense. Like you're taking the full text and then you're like stripping away precision, I guess, to see if it affects the output. It's very interesting. Like so the plan then for Svelte Bench, if I guess we're going back to talking a bit about that, is to basically use the MCP and then compare like the raw LLM performance, try it with the non-distilled docs and then with the distilled docs, right? But then there's the issue of every time the docs change, you have to redo the distilled docs, right? Or I guess the section, at least, that part of the docs, right? So then you would need to run the benchmark every time the docs update. Well, you wouldn't have to, but if you want the accurate
number. I think usually when you have these benchmarks, you don't like rerun them every time a new something changes. Like you usually do it every 6 months, every year, something like that. I think the big question now is like, are the still docs worth it, or is it worth like
right? Yeah.
Like, do we really lose a lot if we remove 50% of the docs, or do we lose almost nothing? In that case, it's totally worth it because it's just going to be better for users.
Do you reduce the docs yourself, or are you using an AI model to reduce the docs?
Yeah, so it's an automated process. So we send the docs to the LLM and say like, hey, can you like shorten this? I mean, it's just a prompt, and then we get back the distilled like version of it.
So then, are you going to try different LLMs to distill the docs?
So, and then do you have to benchmark the docs distillation? Like, who distills the docs the best? Like, is that the benchmark?
You can. Yeah, that's now we're extremely metaing this thing. I mean, so far we're using Claude Sonnet 4.5, and I think if we can show that like the fall off is like the difference in performance between the full and still docs is basically not that big, then I think that's probably good enough. And unless somebody really wants to try a different model. I think one of the things that I'm really excited for with this like new version of the benchmark with MCP is to try out like more like say stupid models, like smaller models, because I mean, you have really great local models like Gemini, Gemma, what is it, 14B, 21B. It's stuff that you can run locally on your laptop. Now, it is too small to kind of like have the Svelte 5 in it. I mean, it's just like that model is just 8 gigs or 10 gigs, and it's supposed to have the whole world's knowledge, right? But it's really good at following instructions. So we think that like if we hook up the MCP to it, and it can actually like, we can inject those extra documentation sections at runtime, we actually think that it might go from being pretty bad at Svelte 5 to being pretty good at Svelte 5.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm most excited for, to try some of these even local models that you can run yourself, because then you could actually, for no cost, use like a model that works pretty well with Svelte 5, because right now there is no like local model that works really well with Svelte 5. But with MCP, I feel like it can be.
And it's very, like, to be fair, it's like very expensive to use LLMs at the moment. Like, for example, like Claude Code, it's what, like, I think the cheapest plan is, or actually I guess you can use it with Pro now, but it used to be 90 euros a month, and that's out of range for most people in the world, unfortunately.
I don't pay that for Claude Code. I pay not very much for Claude Code.
Yeah, probably 20 euros. I think they changed it so you can now do it. But when they first released Claude Code, you needed to have like the max something, and that costs 90. So the cheaper it gets, the better.
I don't know if you followed along with the Claude Anthropic thing, but recently they've like tightened the limits quite a lot. So there was an article, I think it was by Ed Zitron, and he had looked into some of the like financial data and found out that the Anthropic's AWS bill is like higher than their actual income, the actual revenue.
That does not surprise
Not surprising,
me.
yeah.
So, and I think we kind of know this, that like models right now are being heavily subsidized. Like the thing that I think Google is the best/worst offender at this, depends on how you count it, because they have this like AI studio, and you get a bunch of free calls every day, and that is just completely unsustainable, right? But they train on your data, so they feel maybe like it's worth it to them. And then OpenAI is the second biggest subsidiary, because you get so much Codex usage and so much OpenAI usage for $20 a month that it's totally untenable. And Claude is the first one, or Anthropic is the first one that has kind of scaled this back now in this past month to something that I think is more reflects the actual cost for them. So some people are saying that they cut the like allowances by 60-70% versus what they were before, and a lot of people are very unhappy about that.
Well, especially if you're getting billed the same amount of money. But I think the thing is, like, they should go with the sort of gym subscription model whereby everyone pays and then never goes because they feel good about having a subscription. If you think about it, like someone like me who barely really uses Claude, but I still pay the subscription every month, I'm subsidizing somebody else, and if they had enough, if they make it cheap enough for a basic plan monthly, that enough people like me will just subscribe just in case I need it, then it means that maybe they can subsidize all the really heavy users and then, increase its limits. I think it's a basic business thing rather than a problem with AI per se.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of an unknown, right, with how much it costs to train the models, right?
Yeah, and I don't know how you realistically build for it as well is quite difficult. It's quite tricky. Everything's a bit bespoke, isn't it? I guess it's one of these things that will improve over time. There'll be a company somewhere that comes in and does billing consultancy around AI models.
Like we have AWS billing engineers.
But we have this, right? There's so many. I get contacted daily by cloud optimization engineers who are basically people who come in and look at your cloud bill and go, "You're spending too much here, and here." There's no reason that can't be done for AI, but it's a pretty new market. I mean, I spend nearly nothing on the cloud because I'm tight.
Have you guys seen my my recent rage at Serverless? I've been going crazy on Blue Sky, posting benchmarks and stuff.
What's the latest?
So the latest is obviously the AWS East 1 went down, right? Half the internet stopped working, something like that. But then there was this benchmark that I think the Theo did the Twitch streamer. He did a stream and a benchmark where he compared Vercel and Cloudflare and like how fast they were basically doing some work, and he showed like, Vercel is 3 times faster, and then Cloudflare came out with an article, we've fixed a bunch of this stuff, blah blah blah, and then Railway, I think they're like a VPS hoster, right? They released an article a couple of days ago, I think, where they did the same benchmark, and then showed Railway VPS is doing it for like 1/3 of the 3 times faster than Vercel and Cloudflare. So that was the latest thing that I saw.
My Vercel bill's gone up because I switched to the new Pro plan from the old Pro plan.
There you go.
And it's like I feel like it's really gone up a lot. And they said it'd be the same. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest.
I think we can have probably a whole episode about serverless if we didn't already, because most of them are just reselling AWS or something anyway. They have those same. That's why if we take it back to AI, that's why like all of these what is Cursor and others are like not really profitable, and why the Cursor has also worsened their models, not their models, but they've worsened their like allowances a lot, because Cursor is paying for Claude or Gemini, and that has a fixed cost. Like they don't really give, from what I heard, they don't really give big discounts even if you have huge volume, because probably they can't really afford to give a huge discount on the inference.
Also, like you can. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying, if you're selling like what Copilot had before they what Cursor had before they nerfed everything, which was basically like you could run a model continuously, but just a little bit slowly, and you're billing someone $20 for that, and they're using Sonnet 4.5, which can accrue thousands of dollars in API costs. That's not a model that can ever work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say it's not only like with when you're talking about agents, like it's not only the LLM that is, well, like you can use, maybe the actual agent uses Claude Haiku, like that's the cheap model that does like the planning, and then that one calls Sonnet when it's doing coding. So that's another way they can cheap out on like costs, right? So you can get, and Haiku is a worse model than Sonnet, so you would get a decrease in performance, and you wouldn't be super happy about that either, even if the limitations are the same, right?
What you want to do is call out to GitHub and have a look at this project, right? It's called Svelte Benchmark, and then find out what the best model to use is, and then use that model like a router based on performance.
It's interesting. Like I saw recently, there's this thing called ACP, which is like agent. What was it? Agent Communication Protocol.
Oh.
So that's like a protocol to connect different agents. So you could imagine you had like a planning agent using one LLM, and then you had like a Svelte agent that you could host somewhere and sell to someone, and then that would be optimized only for writing Svelte code.
And then sell it as a team of engineers. Call it outsourcing.
You could do that. You could do that. Sell it on Upwork.
Yeah.
I think that's really exciting. I know there's like a joke that there are more MCP developers than there are users, and I think that joke is not quite true, but almost. Like I do.
Yeah.
Like I think.
Yeah, you posted a link recently.
I think that we see like it's not a huge amount of MCP usage yet, but I think everything is going in that direction with the agentic tools and like more long running processes that kind of like present a whole PR for you, like that you can then, rather than just like coding in one file or one function. So I do think some like business ideas like that are probably going to be really big. Like I think like an outsourced Svelte AI developer that has like the docs and cool MCPs and other proprietary process for smartly routing to different models to keep the costs down. That is a business idea that is maybe not for today, but for in a year or 2 years or 3 years from now.
Yeah, because and like if you manage to use one of the open source models, then you can host it yourself, and you can get really like you can get away pretty cheaply compared to like having to call Anthropic and Claude 4.5. So we've mentioned the auto fixer, we've mentioned like the documentation, but there's also like a playground thing. I haven't seen that one before. I just saw it in the docs. So this is, now I'm talking about the tools that the MCP has access to. So what is that?
That's also something Paolo suggested, which is really nice. So you can basically ask the LLM to create a Svelte playground, and it will generate like a link. You click on the link and you can see the like component that the LLM wrote for you directly in your web browser. And just like literally yesterday or the day before yesterday, Paolo implemented a new feature that came to MCP where you can actually see like the result kind of inline in your client. Now, if you use something like Claude Desktop, they have this like artifacts feature where it can write code and also run like simple websites for you directly in Claude. You can make little calculators or little games or something like that. But apparently now that's becoming sort of like an open standard in MCP. And as far as I know, there's no clients that actually support it yet.
Yeah.
But the Svelte MCP supports it. That's
nice.
The last I heard.
We're ready for the future.
Yeah. So when we will get, maybe Cloud Code will one day support it, and then you'll be able to say like, oh, write like a little map tool for me in Svelte 5, and it will actually like the Svelte MCP will actually be able to like show you a preview of that map tool directly in Cloud Desktop or Cloud.ai, like the website.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this UI thing is, I think Shopify is a big proponent for this. So I think what they want to do, like from Shopify's perspective, is that they want to let stores kind of show up in line in your, like for example, Claude application on the desktop, right? Where you can actually buy stuff. So it would show up with the store. You would maybe search for, I don't know, a mini PC, and then the store would show up there, and then you could just like click buy, and it would buy it, but it would really just be the mini PC store running somewhere else. Like it's. So I think that could be a future as well, like where we don't actually surf the web. We're just stuck in these AI desktop applications. You never know.
it's really funny. It's like they're trying to like shove products in from two different directions. So like either you get it through your like MCP or your AI client, or now that like OpenAI launched a browser so that they can just like surf to the products that you want to buy and buy them for you.
But it's like someone said about this browser, like part of the fun of actually buying a product is actually kind of looking at it online and like figuring out like, is this for me? You don't just like want an LLM to just like buy me a TV. Like, okay, what TV am I getting? Why am I getting this TV? Like, should I just say buy a TV and it shows up at the door? No, I'm not going to do that.
I saw a tweet like that, but about like travels, because a lot of the demos they have is like, book me like a travel. But I'm like, don't you want to like look at where you want to go? Like, do you really? Because like when you're planning a travel, you're getting inspired. You don't just want it to like tell you like, oh, I booked you like a 2-week holiday to Greece in 3 months. Like, is that what you want? Is that what people want? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Antony. Are you one of those people?
What do you want, Antony?
Do you want the LLM to just say, you're just going to say, find me a trip to Greece, and it just like no, not even Greece, just I'm going on a 2-week holiday, book something for me, and it just like goes away and does it.
You know what?
Would you use that?
I think about this a lot, right? And I was saying maybe a few episodes ago that I'm using and one of these AIs to basically pick up linear tickets, complete them, open a PR, and I can just approve it and merge.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've learned from it is that actually I want more human interaction. One thing, because I want it to like pick up a ticket and then ask me questions about the task before it starts and makes loads of assumptions. And so from my perspective, actually, what I want to do is I want to say, let's book a holiday together. And then it goes and finds a bunch of good options for me. And I can look at them manually and assess them. And I want that whole like back and forth in it. And I think that's something that I don't know if it's been nailed well or not yet. I mean, I don't know if this was the answer you wanted, like whether you want a silly answer or a good answer. But this is actually a feeling I have every day. Is how can this be more like suitable for somebody to me who has very much distrust in LLMs as a whole?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Cloud Code must have listened, or the Anthropic people must have listened to that episode, because they just added like question asking to Cloud Code. I don't know if you have had time to see it yet, because now if you ask it to do something, it will actually like sometimes ask you questions first. It's like, would you like to refactor all of the usages or just this one usage? And actually, those questions are pretty good. Like the times I've gotten them in the flow, it actually like asks really, really good questions.
Are you sure you don't want to change it all to React? Are you sure?
Well, that's speaking of like the LLM asking questions. It's one of those things where like the AI, at least Claude Sonnet is not very good at like telling you like this is not a good idea. It's just like, certainly, let's improve this. It's a great, fantastic idea, and you're like, I don't know about this. Is this really a good idea? Like, I want you to, if it's not a good idea, tell me that it's not a good idea. And it's not very good at that. Maybe like there's prompt engineering to solve this probably, but I wish it would just do it without me having to write a special prompt for it. But yeah, it is what it is. So, and anything else about the MCP that we haven't talked about that we should talk about?
Well, I mean, we're always looking for feedback. Like one of the things is that we don't really have a way. MCP doesn't really have a way to like, determine whether like it works well or not. So I think that's something sometimes we see like on Twitter or on Blue Sky, people are posting that they have specific problems. Like some people have posted about that they are getting these big responses, and that's something we're looking into now. So if you're using AI, I would encourage you to try the Svelte MCP, and if something is not working, create an issue on Discord in the ecosystem channel, or just tweet at us. So that we can be aware of it, because we don't really have any good observability tools right now to see like, this call totally didn't like do what it was supposed to, because there is no such like feedback mechanism in MCP. We can only say that the user asked for like this tool or that tool, and we can only get very generic like information about the calls.
Yeah, that's tough. Like getting actionable analytics from this, and it's not like you want to save all the API calls with all the people's code and stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
So,
but that's important also to mention that there is two versions of the MCP. There's the remote one, which runs in the official like Svelte infrastructure, and but if you for some reason, we don't obviously save anything, and the code is open source, so you can inspect it yourself. But if you still don't like that, you can also run it as an npx command, run it completely locally with all the same docs and all the same auto fixers, but just running on your own computer if that works better for your workflow. But for most people, just putting in a URL to a remote server is usually much easier than like running an npx command or having another terminal up or something like that. So it's kind of like a convenience thing.
I just realized we have talked about this, the Svelte Bench and the MCP, and you introduced yourself, but I'm not sure you mentioned that you actually run a YouTube channel as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, I do. Do I get to pitch my YouTube channel?
Absolutely. It's mostly about Svelte and AI, so I think that makes sense.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'd love to pitch it. It's called The Code with Stanislav. You can find it if you search for Code with Stanislav, or if you search for Svelte adjacent topics. Like I recently put out a video about internationalizing Svelte apps with this new cool internationalization library called, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Actually, you're gonna have to like search for Svelte internationalization. I got feedback from the author that like about the pronunciation, and I actually don't remember how it was supposed to be pronounced. But you can check that out, and I have another video coming out in a week or two, which is actually going to be only about AI and full context coding, which I think is going to be very interesting.
Oh, exciting! So we can expect more videos. We can expect better Svelte Bench, better MCP. I mean, it's already really good, but it's the future is bright, is what I am hearing. That's great.
Yeah, we're at a level now where the experience with Svelte 5 is really, really good, I would say.
Yeah.
With AI and Svelte 5. So
yeah. And it's
only,
like if
this is the worst it'll ever be, it's only going to get better.
Yeah. And if you want to use it, it's simply just adding an MCP in most of your AI tools, and then you're ready to go. All right. I think with that said, we can move on to the next section, Unpopular Opinions. This is an exciting section. Do you guys have? You don't have to have an unpopular opinion. Anthony always has one. So.
Well, not true at all. Well, but I do, because I did write one down just at the start of this podcast because I was thinking about it.
Yeah. I can go first if you guys
ahead.
don't have one. Yeah. And I'm not sure in today's environment that it's unpopular, but serverless is overrated. I can say this as a self-hoster with a mini PC on like a shelf that runs the Svelte Society website. Nice. It's not as hard as you would think it is to run your own stuff.
Yeah, I did it when I was 14, Kev. But what happens when you get attacked?
You have Cloudflare in front.
Okay,
so you are using serverless.
So you partially self-host. I partially self-host, by the way.
I mean, you would have a CDN in front of it anyway, right?
So okay, interesting. I get Cloudflare to self-host for me, by the way.
I feel like we need an episode, if you didn't do one already, about the self-hosting Svelte kit.
It's actually a good idea. Cool. It's a good idea.
Yeah,
I might actually, let's do that. That's good. But yeah, serverless is expensive. You don't need it unless you're like a huge company that has millions and millions of visitors. Like you're like, even the tiniest of servers should be able to manage like 50,000 users. I would hope. But people are used to getting the cloud engineers selling them on all these weird products.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to serve Bianca from my own connection. Let's put it
No,
that way.
obviously.
Serverless does us a lot of favors.
Yeah, no,
We
no,
handle
I
a lot
totally
of
get
scale.
it. Like, but it's that old like saying that use the right tool for the
Yeah.
job, right?
Yeah.
It's like the Svelte Society website. If that goes down for an hour, no one is gonna like lose their brains over it. Like it's gonna be fine. People might not be able to search for the packages that they need at that specific moment. And I feel like that's an okay downtime to it.
Yeah, I think that's
It will.
reasonable.
It would be like during the AWS downtime. It was up. Everyone could search for their packages. See, but then they couldn't do any work anyway because Slack goes down or whatever they're using. So,
But not the Cloudflare downtime, because the Cloudflare downtime it wouldn't work.
correct.
Because you
true.
don't self-host, by the way.
Fair enough.
Wow, this is very like thorny. I hear that
Well,
there's some resistance here.
That's why they call it Unpopular Opinions. In my defense, I started Bianca on Now back in the day before it became the Cell. And I did that because Now was impossibly cheap for what it did. It ran everything at scale. It was great. And, at the point where it became, everyone's saying it's expensive, we optimized some things, and actually now it still isn't expensive for the amount of load we take and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with it in a general sense. I did say though recently, the bill, I think, it could be just the seasonality, but I think the bill increased quite a lot.
Well, that's the thing,
see.
right? Like if you had a dedicated server or something, it wouldn't change. Like the bill would just be the same as long as you over provision, it would be fine. But then that comes with other
traffic wise, we might be paying more for traffic because you're always going to have some bottlenecks, some contention, and I think it would be traffic we end up paying for.
Yeah, I don't know the statistics. You would know, you run it, right? So
yeah. Well, the traffic bill on other things would be high anyway. So I don't think it's expensive what it is still. But then again, I spent a lot of time optimizing it. There are things that if I just let them roll would have been really expensive because edge functions are expensive and to run. The quotas are quite small. The bandwidth quota is actually quite small. We pay a few $100s for it, but there are things that I've done in order to keep it low because I like the DX of the Cell. Yeah,
it is very slick.
Yeah,
like it is. Yeah. So that's my unpopular opinion. Do you guys have one?
I have one. Do you have one, Stanislav?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So my unpopular opinion, to keep it on topic, is that I think OpenAI has the worst models out of the three big providers. Like with Svelte, we can now say with 100% scientific accuracy that they have the worst models. But I think also for general purpose tasks, I'm just constantly underwhelmed, or rather overwhelmed with Anthropic and Gemini, which I think are better. So it's sad that the worst company is the one that is synonymous with AI.
So that's kind of how they do it though, isn't it? They keep it super generic, I suppose, and that has a price for most, skilled people.
Do you think that the GPT-5 thing was, so they released GPT-5 and their conspiracy is about how GPT-5 is smaller, so it's cheaper, and that's one of the reasons why it's getting worse, or maybe the other models are improving.
Yeah, if you want to know how big a model is, look at the API pricing, because that tells you the truth. If GPT-5 is cheaper than GPT 4.5, then it is smaller, because otherwise they wouldn't price it lower, because they don't have any incentive to they have no incentive to subsidize API usage, because that's mostly enterprise and corporate use.
Right. No, that's true. Most regular people just use the $20 plan or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Antony?
Right. My unpopular opinion is not on topic at all, as usual.
That's fine.
Heat pumps are bad. Heat pumps are bad, actually. Now,
what kind of heat pump?
I mean a heat pump that heats a house. Like an
air heat pump?
Like an air source heat pump. Any kind of heat pump at all. So I'm saying that because it's not like me to say that at all. I don't think they're bad really, but they're bad in the context of, I was reading recently about Lithuania, and all their new builds that they're building in Lithuania, or I imagine, the ones that they're talking about, are being built without heat pumps. They're actually using electric underfloor, and the reason they're doing it is clever, is because they're building passive house standard houses, which are going to insulate so much that you barely need to heat it in the first place. That means that it's actually real overkill to have a heat pump, because you've got all the maintenance needed. You've got the servicing, you've got all the water running around your pipes, things like that. Putting electric heating mat in that's barely used, just a little bit of latent heat, and the house just holds it all in, is like zero maintenance. It'll just kind of work forever and ever and ever. And it's a way better, when every other country is going, right, heat pumps, they're going, screw that, electric underfloor, solar panels, problem solved. And I think that's really nice. For new builds, I think that's really nice. And the UK could learn a lot. We're so behind in all this stuff. We're still doing gas boilers and 2 solar panels that are not going to help anyone. So I would hope that we can learn from this. But Lithuania are really pushing with that. So my unpopular opinion is more like clickbait.
So should I feel bad for buying a house with a heat pump?
No, because I spent a lot of money getting one fitted, and they're brilliant. They are wonderful for an existing house.
Yeah.
Do you your like your unpopular take sounds like a technology connections video? Do you know that channel?
yeah,
because he's always talking about like how ventilation is bad, or like some type of refrigerator is bad, some type of solar is bad. Like
everything is bad.
Yeah. Did you see the technology? It's also like one of these technology places where he builds lasers and does like his own liquor and stuff. And he recently did a video. I'm gonna see what the channel is called.
It sounds like Colin Furze, who built an underground. So this is his house.
This is another. That's a different kind. That's more like entertainment, right?
Yeah, it's entertainment.
Maybe I'm actually thinking about technology connections.
Might be. But he doesn't build things necessarily. Dissects things.
This guy just like he builds like a sound gun and stuff, and like tests it on people.
Cool.
Making your own heat pump. Sorry, now I'm just searching live on the podcast.
Kev's just busy searching, so we could also.
I need to find this.
He's gonna find it.
I'm gonna find it.
Don't worry, we cut this bit. We'll cut this bit out.
We won't.
Yeah.
We won't.
Tech Ingredients is what it's called.
Tech Ingredients.
It's very, very nice channel. Super nice. So why I mentioned the channel is he recently did a video where he takes an regular AC unit and converts it to geothermal unit by like connecting pipes to it and just like digging a hole and putting the pipes in, and then.
Do you know, this popped up on my YouTube feed last night, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Because I was going to watch that. That sounds good. Yeah, I want to watch that.
It is good. It is good.
I don't think I'm far down in the rabbit hole yet. I'm a little bit scared.
Don't stand by the edge because you will fall in.
It's like one video, he does everything, right? He's like, one video he's like brewing sake, and another he's like laser welding, and then he's like, we're building our own e-bike, and he does it like from scratch. Like, well,
I would love to have that kind of time. That would be wonderful.
Oh, here's a tornado chamber. Who doesn't want to build a tornado chamber, right? I don't even know what that is. Sorry, tangent. Okay, I think that's our unpopular opinions. Now it's the last section, the picks. The picks. These are always hard. Do you have picks?
What are we picking?
You can pick whatever you want. Something that's technology connected, a game, a book, an NPM package, something that you made yourself that you want to show. Anything really. So, I guess I will pick Tech Ingredients as my pick.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I can go. So I've been a little bit obsessed here with my fiance. We've been playing Ball Pit, which is one of those new games that kind of sucks you in. It's kind of like a Arkanoid old school like flipper type thing, but it also has like meta progression and roguelike elements. It's got like all the buzzwords. Very fun game.
Nice.
Wow, this looks wild.
It's like a mobile game, but there's no in-app purchase. So you are free to just completely get sucked in without worrying that they're gonna take all your money.
Interesting. Okay.
For now.
Okay, my pick is kind of lame. I mean, it's just something that I have and I'm enjoying it. So I went recently to a beach near my house in the UK, which is called, what's it called? Can't remember, something Cove. But it has saunas on the edge of the beach. And you go in the sauna and then you run into the sea and you swim and then you run back into the sauna and you keep going back and forth for that.
Sounds very Scandinavian, actually.
It sounds very Scandinavian. I'm guessing it's probably based on a Scandinavian thing. I've never done that, and it was great fun. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Did you drink beer in the sauna as well?
No, we didn't.
Next step up.
It was like 10 in the morning or something, so we also probably just did for that reason. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of that makes sense. But yeah, we did this, and it was great fun. And the thing for me was the most amazing of all was how relaxed I felt afterwards. You know, just going hot to cold all the time makes you feel really relaxed.
Yeah.
And so nice. I went in the car. I wasn't driving, luckily, but I was being driven back to my house, and I couldn't even stay awake. I was so relaxed. I was just kind kind of almost passing out.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, again, I wasn't driving, luckily.
Okay.
But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, right, I've got a jacuzzi in my house, right? This isn't like my brag cast here, but I have a jacuzzi in the garden, and it's really cool because it's now winter and it's freezing cold, and you get in jacuzzi, it's really hot. And I thought, what I need to tip this over the edge really is I need to buy a plunge pool. So I went on Amazon and I bought one of these 30 quid. That's like a massive bucket that you fill with cold water. Yeah. And now I jump in that, and then I jump in the jacuzzi, then I jump out again like a hot frog, and then back in and I jump between the two.
Oh,
and
nice.
I get that same feeling of relaxation when I'm out. It's like, that's amazing. And it also is weird because once you've been in the really cold pool, you could like, the cold weather outside doesn't count anymore, which I've not experienced either. Yeah. Like, you don't tell it's cold. I could just stand outside in the garden wearing only swim shorts, dripping wet, and being like, I'm actually quite warm now. And that was quite shocking to me. That was quite amazing. So I'm kind of obsessed, and it was only 30 quid. So I thought, well, you know what? That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's good. I actually found a pick. So I'm going to switch my tech ingredients pick from that to...
You're getting two picks.
I mean,
well, he is the host, so
it's true.
I mean, Antony is also a host, so
well, I know, but Kev's the master host. Kev's like the main host.
Okay. Well, so hibachi grills. Have you heard about them?
Oh yes.
I recently bought one. So it's like this Japanese style barbecue where you put coals in and then you like fry skewers and stuff on it. And it goes up to like 1200 degrees Celsius, which is insane for like a barbecue. Mm-hmm. And I bought it, and I'm going to test it out tomorrow for the first time. So I guess it's not really a pick yet. We'll reevaluate next week probably on the show, see if it's any good. So that's my pick. But yeah, I think that's it for the show, right? Unless you guys have something else to mention. Where can people find you online, Stanislav?
A good question. I actually made a new website which has a pronounceable URL. It's stanislav.garden.
Okay.
So if you go there, you'll find
garden.
My digital garden with all of my cool links.
All right, I'll put that in the show notes. And you are on Blue Sky, Twitter, GitHub, and all the other places, and you can find links on there. I can see that. Even LinkedIn. It's very, very enterprising of you.
How professional of you.
Very professional. Yeah. All right. And with that said, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Stanislav, for coming on and talking about Svelte Bench and MCPs. It was a lot of fun. And thank you to everyone who's listening. And we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye.